Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to another day of Color Craze. And today's layout actually might be one of my favorites so far for this series anyway. Here's the color inspiration. I really like it. And I just started with an 8x10 photo, which is a little different for me. I do use 8x10s, but I don't use them often. So I was really happy to go ahead and use it. So I started with this floral paper, and I really like the piece on the back that says enjoy the little things, and so I cut that out, and then I fussy cut out a whole bunch of the florals. And then I was going to start with that kind of grayish paper there, or grayish tannish paper, which really matched the color on the far right hand side of the inspiration piece. But then I decided, you know what, I like it better, much better on this stripe paper, which is from Felicity Jane. And it has all of the colors that are pretty much in the inspiration piece. And so that is what I decided to go with. And I know I want to back the whole thing so that it has 1/8 of an inch border all the way around it, but I'm just trying to decide right now which paper to use. I was going to use that polka dot, but there was so much white in the polka dot that I end up using the other piece that I was auditioning there. Now, I did really like the boldness of that polka dot one. The other one's a little bit more muted, but it all works out in the end. I didn't end up having to worry about the polka dots that way. So that was my main reason for choosing the other paper. Now I do like a couple of the pieces that are on the back of this Felicity Jane paper, so I'm going to go ahead and cut those out because I don't really need to save the piece that is going to be underneath the photo, because I'm going to leave the that peachy color one that is backing the entire thing. It's going to be there to mount the photo onto. So I'm going to go ahead and just adhere that photo down, and I'm going to make up the difference for the missing corner there by lining up the right hand edge and the bottom edge with that striped paper. And then I'm going to go and adhere everything down using my ATG gun. And when I was adhering my photo, I don't put a ton of adhesive. Like, I don't go completely around the entire outside of the photo with the adhesive gun. Pretty much ever, because I always like to leave a little bit of room to tuck things in. And so that is what I'm doing here. I'm just tucking these florals in. So it doesn't really matter when you cut apart a floral sheet, or any cut apart for that matter. If there are pieces that are on the edge of the paper, go ahead and use those too, because here you don't even know that those pieces were from the edge. They are completely tucked in, so there's no way that anybody would know that it's not a complete floral set. And I believe on that paper there's actually only 1 or 2 of the complete florals that are, because they are a larger floral. Everything else has little edges cut off. And so go ahead and use them and tuck them in. Nobody's going to know the difference. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut a little bit more out, because I know I want to have a little bit of extra greenery. I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to use things. And so like I said, I don't make you sit through watching everything get cut out, but I do cut out a couple of things. When I use my scissors for fussy cutting, I try to move the paper rather than the scissors. It makes it a lot easier to get smoother edges. And then I just use the scissors, in the open closed manner, rather than like turning them. So hopefully that helps out a little bit if you are having trouble with your fussy cutting. So these little tiny pieces, I am just kind of tucking them in for a little added color. And by doing that, it just kind of makes it look like it's a fuller bouquet of flowers. And the photo is of my daughter sitting on this swing. We took the kids to Alma Bonita, which is an animal rescue. And if you've watched my channel, you've probably already seen that layout come out. And I used this photo in a smaller format on that same layout, but that one is going in Noah's binder, or Noah's album. This one will go in my own album because this is just my daughter, and the other photo is already in his album. So I just thought it was a cute picture of her sitting on the swing, and it just looked she looks really cute in it and pretty, and so I wanted to go ahead and document that. And I will probably document something about her personality on this page. It's not going to need a lot of documentation. I'm not leaving a ton of area for journaling, but I am going to use that label that is under my left arm. I will be using that to go ahead and put any documenting on that I want to do. Any documentation. So I will also pop up the little portion that says enjoy the little things onto some foam, and I'm just using Fun Foam. It is adhesive backed on one side, and then I just use my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive to adhere it on the other side. And I believe that label piece, actually I'm not even going to guess where that came from, but it's just a plain old label. You can use any type of journaling spot in this area if you would like, if you're going to try and scrap lift this layout. It's pretty simple layout to do, and it came together relatively quickly. And go and check out what MK is doing today. I'm really curious to see what she does with this color scheme. It's been a lot of fun playing along together just to kind of see what the differences are in our styles and how our minds work so differently. A lot of times we start out with something that's very similar, but we always go completely separate directions, and it's just fun to see and to be inspired by her. Because, like I said, our minds work completely differently, and it makes me kind of challenge myself to think outside the box sometimes, which I really enjoy. So this paper also has these little red berries on it. I went ahead and fussy cut a few of those out in place of something like enamel dots or splatter or sequins, and I just tucked those berries in and around those florals, and I kept it pretty simple. There's not a ton, but I really like the way that that looks. It just kind of completes the entire layout by adding those little berries, which are probably like, I don't know, maybe they're not berries, maybe they're like little buds for another flower or something like that. But I like that the way that they look. And I didn't pop any of those up onto foam. I do end up putting a little bit of foam on the outer edges of some of those leaves, but that's about it. And then I do go in with my Distress ink. I don't know why I took the ink directly to it. I think I'm using Abandoned Coral, and normally I think it's because I didn't want to pull out a foam pad, but I just took it directly to the page to give it a little bit of a darker edge around that border piece. Now I did trim off a couple of these green sprigs, and I tucked them in a little bit further or a little bit differently, just because they look like they were kind of like hanging off. The little sprigs are so narrow that when you cut them, I didn't want them to kind of like falling apart, and so by cutting them off and tucking them in and gluing them down, they have a little more stability. I hope you enjoyed this layout. You can leave me any comments or questions down below, and if you don't mind hitting like or subscribe if you're not already subscribed, I would love that. I will see you guys again on Wednesday for another Color Craze. Bye bye.